Warning, this product contains all natural opinions that may be hazardous to some people's mental health. Allergy symptoms may include a raise in blood pressure, drastic mood swings, and hearing impairment. Hello fellow adventurers, I'm Oni Black Mage, here with another digital Hindsight. Like most of you, I'm using my quarantine time to catch up on my backlog of unfinished or unstarted games. I haven't seen too much that inspires a review, so I thought I'd take this time to do some retroactively for the games I finished, keyword finished, during the first half of 2020. Some are games I finished for the first time, but some are games I replayed for a recap project. As a reminder, I use a tier scale for my reviews, and since my last video, I feel I need to clarify. You see, a lot of people confuse tier lists and grading scales, and I get it. At quick glance, they look similar and enumerate things in some order of quality, sometimes using letters, and more often than not, I see people completely missing the point. Remember, tier lists have their origins in organizing fighters or guns in games in a broader-minded context. As a reminder, this is a tier list, meaning the focus is balance, and relative strength compared to that balance point. This isn't a grading scale or a list of favorites where the focus is what I consider the best and everything else is degrees of bad below that. Another way of thinking about it is with a grading scale, the expectation for any entry is to be at the top, and imperfections will lower its grade. Therefore, grading scales often stack their entries near the top echelon. With tier lists, the expectation for any entry is to be in the middle, because that's the average, and its strengths and weaknesses relative to similar entries shift its significance up or down. Tier lists are ideally bell curve shaped, as the average is the most common echelon, and the degrees of excellence or failure trim out more and more entries the further you get from the average in either direction. The top echelon is reserved for entries that are meta-defining, and what everything similar is legitimately compared to, or what some games are specifically designed to counterplay. It's not enough to be popular or new. Top tier means having best-in-class elements that stand the test of time and comparable matchups, and that usually includes having flaws that aren't as big as others. In a tier list, you can't just get by doing one thing incredibly well. You need to do a lot of things better than most, and your shortcomings are less consequential than most. Meanwhile, with a grading scale, it's perfectly fine to play favorites and love one or two things while sweeping things you dislike under the rug, provided that you don't try to pass your opinions as facts for others to accept. Keep in mind, being average or generic in a tier list does not make you bad or not fun to play. It just means that some aspect of what you do is either done better or worse by someone else. Regardless, you are more than welcome to like one entry over another. That is not the important factor here, unlike in a grading scale. Now back on topic. I don't inject my personal opinion into any recapitation, and I don't want to make a separate review video for each one either, so I'm going to make a digest one here. The catch is that I will be presenting my placement of their tier rankings with no explanation here, and that's because 1, this video would be super long to defeat the point of brevity, and 2, in either a deep cut video on Patreon or during the credits of a playthrough on my Stream Dump channel, I've already shared my reasons and opinions on a game. So if you actually care, you can go check them out. Either way, don't ask for an explanation here, and don't jump to conclusions until you hear reasons. So here we go, rapid fire. Lost Odyssey, B. Sekiro, C. Radical Dreamers, C-. Jedi Fallen Order, C+. Death Stranding, C-. Xenosaga Episode 3, C. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, just the campaign, B. Call of Duty World War II, just the campaign, C-. Breath of Fire, C+. Prey, B+. Sherlock Holmes Crimes and Punishments, C+. Legend of Legaia, B-. Recore, D+. Resident Evil 2 2019, B+. Gears 5, C+. Tomb Raider 2013, B. Chrono Trigger, A. Rhapsody, a musical adventure, C+. Rise of the Tomb Raider, B+. Battlefield 1, just the campaign, C-. Battlefield 5, just the campaign, D+. Gears Tactics, C+. Final Fantasy VII Remake, B+. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, B-. Parasite Eve, C. The Last of Us, C+. Halo 5, C-. Sherlock Holmes The Devil's Daughter, C-. Final Fantasy 15, B-. The Last of Us Part 2, B-. Feel free to post your own thoughts below. I only did the first half of this year's games until the end of June, but if you think this was fun or interesting, let me know and we can do it again for the second half of the year, or maybe even last year. Again, it's not really important if you agree with me, it's more important if we exchange ideas and communicate our thoughts. If you're the type of person who thinks, well, I don't think I should rationalize why I feel the way I do about a game, I'll just say if I like it or not. I mean, that's true, but that also makes for a very dull conversation, like we're just bringing up our favorite colors for no reason. I get it, a lot of people don't care about how a game stacks up in the bigger picture, they just want you to make a decision about liking something before they do. Now, if you see someone make a sloppy top 10 list or a grading scale and call it a tier list just because they used a tier list bracket, they're probably not dumb, just misinformed, and or chasing a trend. If it makes you feel better, let them know their error, but don't make an argument out of it or try to embarrass them. Just judge them silently in your heart, because you're probably already disagreeing with their list in your head anyway, just like you are for me. I'm Oni Black Mage, thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the next battlefield.